pick and roll with it. Make a pick and roll with it. Betting weekly. Fast break. From coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown. From coast to coast and way downtown.
Come into a Friday edition of Betting Weekly Fast Break. I'm Doug Kezirian alongside professional handicapper Albert Nguyen, also known as Analytics Capper. Busy week in hoops. We had the NBA Finals, which in a way seems like an eternity ago, just 5 days last Sunday. Game 7, Thunder have also had their parade. We had the NBA draft a couple days. There's some storylines surfacing today that we'll get into in terms of how it impacts the odds, and also a monster slate in the WNBA. 5 games on the docket, including a high-profile showdown that will lose some of its luster. We're getting into all that and much more, including our best bets. Albert, are you ready for a busy show to wrap up the work week?
Yeah, a bunch of trades in the NBA, which has changed and shifted the landscape when it comes to NBA futures for next season. But I'm super excited about the W this tonight and into this weekend. I think you're going to see a lot of teams kind of separate themselves. I think this is kind of the weekend where it becomes a lot more serious. Doug, is the first weekend after the Commissioner's Cup games, and so I don't know. I feel fairly confident about my 2 reads tonight.
Yeah, I like the card as well, and I've talked to a lot of guys out here and pretty sharp bettors, but we've been seeing the ball well. 3-1 on Wednesday's show, 2-1 yesterday. I went 1-1. Sarah got on the board yesterday with a nice under after a rock fight in the first half. Got a little sweaty with foul calls in the second half, but we got there. And so we'll start with the biggest game on the docket, at least coming into this one, and definitely a disappointment a little bit. But I just want to remind everyone to please like and subscribe. It's our currency here in the YouTube world. It is a free show here on the Bet Rivers Network. We appreciate your efforts to get involved and also get involved in the conversation. We want to hear your thoughts, any questions, any games you like for tonight. Albert and I, or whoever the hosts are on the show, will break those down and give you feedback and talk it out, if you will. So a collaborative workflow, certainly, to say the least. So it was expected to be a monster, high-profile game. The Dallas Wings hosting the Indiana Fever, but Caitlin Clark will miss her second straight game with a left groin injury. So that means we do not get the first WNBA showdown between Paige and Caitlin Clark. And this line has moved from 3.5 to 1.5. Indiana still a favorite here on the road. Now, this game, remind you, it was moved into the big arena, the American Airlines Center, which is where the Dallas Mavericks play, capacity 20,000 plus, as opposed to the usual 7,000 plus arena. And I agree with the line move, especially after the Fever laid an egg in the second half. They're just not good without Caitlin Clark. I like the improvements they've made at point with Sydney Colson and Ari McDonald, but ultimately they just aren't consistent enough. And so much of the offense runs through Caitlin Clark when she's out. It's a giant miss.
It's a huge miss, right? Caitlin Clark, for those who are just getting into the WNBA, she's the same heliocentric type impact player as a Nikola Jokic, as a Giannis, as a Luka when he was on Dallas. These are players that move lines, 4 to 5 points when it comes to odds makers, but they impact the game way more than that, right? It's really a domino effect when it comes to Caitlin Clark. And I agree with Doug. We've seen this team without Caitlin Clark a few times already this season. They are horrible in their half-court offense. They don't get any free buckets. Aaliyah Boston doesn't play well without Caitlin Clark. So I actually like Dallas in this game, Doug. I'm going to make an official play. I know the line has moved a lot in my favor. I feel like I'm still not chasing steam. I think the wrong team is favored. Not only are the Indiana Fever missing Caitlin Clark, right? But Dallas themselves have been playing a lot better as of late. I think they've covered now 4 of the last 5 games, winning 3 of those outright. And for a team that doesn't play any defense, they've actually improved a lot, Doug, after that trade for, additional size there for rim protection. So I like Dallas tonight. Doug mentioned it. The game will be at AAC. It is sold out. I don't know if it's going to be full. I doubt people are going to still make the trip without Caitlin Clark there. But I expect the fans without Caitlin Clark to be 100% on Dallas's side. Also, Cooper Flagg will be there as well. So a lot of good Dallas vibes, if you will, for the Wings tonight.
I do think it's going to be packed. People buy their tickets in advance, things like that. And Page is a big enough draw in Dallas that I don't think they're going to try to just like eat the ticket price and things like that. And maybe Caitlin Clark will do some autographs and stuff like that to reward fans who've invested time ahead of time. Um, so that's a bummer, though, for sure. I'm close to pulling the trigger. This Dallas team kind of stinks, but I do like their adjustments they've made in their game flow and just overall. They're encouraging Paige Beckers to shoot, which I like. I don't know what got into their defense, holding Atlanta to just 55 points in the last game. Really a head scratching game. I mean, it also helps when Alicia Gray is 3 of 16 from the field. Sometimes good players just go cold, and that happens. In terms of like the flow, this Wings team has made 2 adjustments in the last like 2 weeks. One, they've moved deep Carrington off out of the starting lineup. So I think that's a big one. And then they traded for Lee Yaroo, who I always liked with the Liberty and things like that, but she wasn't getting enough opportunity, so they acquired her. And she was a double-double in the last game. I think she's pretty good. She's got range as well. She's really, really tall. I don't have the height in front of me, but she was in the starting lineup against Atlanta because they have Brittany Griner, and she delivered 15 and 10, or sorry, 10 and 15. What do you make of sort of the roster moves? Because the bench is weak for Dallas. I don't like Haley Jones at all. That's why she was on the scrap heap. Hines Allen's fine, good bench player, but this team's playing a lot better of late. They've had, they're 3-1 in their last 4 games, and the only loss was a 3-point loss to the Mystics on the road. Nothing to sneeze at.
No, adding that new big has completely changed the complexion of their defense. They're not going to be an elite defense just because they don't have the personnel perimeter. But now, if they're going to take care of the defensive rebounding aspect of it, I think it's completely changed. Carrington is out tonight, Doug, just FYI. So she's going to be out. That's going to, push down, the depth chart a little bit. But I don't think that matters tonight. I think there's just so many positive things right now pointing towards the Wings. Even being in the American Airlines Center, I think it's going to give them an added boost of energy and motivation. So I like the Wings team tonight. It's going to be an official play. I liked it even if Caitlin Clark was playing. But now without her, I'm going to fade Indiana at the same time.
All right, let's talk a couple of Paige Becker's props. And her points prop is 17.5 over minus $1.30 at Bet Rivers. She had 20 plus in 3 straight games before going for 12 in the last game, but she at least had 15 shot attempts. That Atlanta game, I mean, they won by double digits. It was a weird game. Everyone was missing. I don't know if there was a gym door open that was, like you say when you airball, a bunch of missed shots. But I feel like Beckers can go off on this Fever team that, let's face it, played last night, had to travel. Although back-to-backs have been really favorable this year in the W. I believe the team on the second game of a back-to-back after the Aces stumble last night are 5-1 ATS. So her over-under is 18.5. If you go over 18.5, it's minus 0.5. 17.5 is minus 130. Bet Rivers. Any opinion here, given that her uptick in attempts over the last, let's just call it this month in June?
I do expect regression when it comes to her 3-point shooting. She's been really cold the last 4 or 5 games, the entire month of June. I think she only had 1 game where she made more than 1 3 this entire month. She's a great shooter. I think that's going to come around soon. Again, it's just rookie year. She was hurt for a while as well. But one thing that, I'm never worried about with Paige Beckers, if her points is going under, like if her shooting is not there, she's doing so much other stuff, right? Rebounding, assists. She's playing solid team defense. So I personally, Doug, if I were to play this player prop, I would like the PRA over the points, just because I feel a lot more safe because she's going to play and producing the other aspects of the game. To me, like hitting 3-point shots for a PRA Page bet is icing on the cake because she's hitting these PRAs without even making threes.
Right. So her PRA is 28.5. And, she fills up the stat sheet. I was going to ask you 5.5 assists, In
Yeah.
2 of her last 3 games, she's had 7. Again, that Atlanta game, if you throw it out, she's going over on everything. She's gonna crash the boards. Now, with Yeru in the lineup, I don't know if that's like the rebounds are the right way to go, although she's not really on the block competing for rebounds. It's more long rebounds, things like
Mhm.
that. But she's playing 38, 40 minutes, and I like her chances with assists. So I would look at points and assists. That's something. I mean, the key with P&A is because, points obviously come in 2s and 3s and free throws. It really is all about the assists. If you think she's going to be around her number in assists, then it's probably smart to go over.
Doug, I
For
want to
example,
talk you. I want to
okay.
talk you into adding rebounds as well, just because they are playing Indiana. They're playing an offense that's not going to get easy shots without Caitlin Clark, and we know with the
Yeah.
W there are going to be a lot of long rebounds. It's just the truth. They have a lot of big misses, right? Whether it barely hits the rebound or just hits the backboard. I think it gives these guards a lot more opportunities for rebounds as opposed to the flow in the NBA. I like PRA. The more I talk about it, it's just I don't want to double dip, right? I think it's correlated with the wings money line or the wing spread. If Paige has a big game, I think they do cover and most likely win outright. But I'm just going to be betting on one of them. Feel a little more safe about the wing spread for now.
I have a banger after talking to you, one I really like, and that's Page over rebounds plus assists, 9.5
Oh yeah,
minus 130.
I love
So
that.
9.5 feel like I think she can go 7-6, like one of those, like 7-5 kind of things. And I think 9.5 is real cheap for just rebounds and assists. I think her points will be between 20 and 14. So I don't think there's like line value there, but I think her ceiling on rebounds plus assists is like 14 and her floor is like 8. So I think there's a lot of ways to win this one. And I think, with the high profile, the crowd, I think she's as efficient as she is, as always in control as she is. I think there's an element where I think the crowd and the atmosphere and the level, the stage will lend itself to more rebounds because of energy and ball finds energy as Jay Billis often says, and I think he's so right with that. I think this is the way to play it.
Absolutely. And I know I, just went over this really quickly, but Cooper Flag is going to be in the building along with
Okay.
basically the entire, coaching staff. Half the roster is going to be there as well because they all supported Cooper Flag at the press conference this morning. So I know it doesn't feel like anything, but having that type of support coming out from the, your NBA counterpart is a big deal. And I think Paige being the number one pick herself, right, is really going to try to show out. So I like that look a lot, Doug. I like the rebounds and assists.
Awesome. Yeah, I might like double unit that. So I always go a half unit on my plays. I might make that a full unit by the end of the show, but it's at least a half unit and a favorable play. Another game that's seen some line movement, Minnesota, now a 3.5 point road favorite in Atlanta. Looks like Nafisa Collier is going to play. She's been upgraded to probable. So that's certainly good news for the current MVP betting favorite, minus money right now, especially with all this injury news surrounding Caitlin Clark. So they're 3.5 point favorites, $158. Atlanta coming off just a weird stretch. They've been a nice, pleasant surprise in the league, in a lot of ways, but they lost at Dallas as they were like 9 point favorites, I want to say,
Mhm.
in that game. So, they lost the Fever, then beat the Fever. So this is a nice team, and they have a unique coach where they want to push pace, but they also have double bigs with Griner and Brianna Jones. But Alicia Gray's electric. Ryan Howard's another Carmelo. I swear it's a clone. And Pow Pow's been nice off, in terms of running the offense, and they got some decent bench players. I like this Atlanta team a lot, but whenever the Lynx are involved, I'm always careful because they can just score in bunches. They go 5 out if they want to put Fee on the perimeter. But Atlanta is a tough place to play. They should have a good crowd on a Friday night.
Yeah, I've said this a couple of times to you, Doug, but Minnesota is kind of like the Boston Celtics of the WNBA, right? They shoot a ton of threes. Their variance is crazy. If they're even just halfway hot, they're going to start blowing out teams. But the line to me, I know it's moved now to 3.5. The line to me reads Atlanta, and it's one of the things that I've kind of caught on with the NBA is when a star player is basically questionable for the entire, head up to the game, and then with hours left, she's upgraded to probable. A lot of bets and a lot of action is going to be on that on that player's team. And in this case, with Collier, with Fee coming back, she's probable. I think a lot more action is going to be on Minnesota. For that reason, I'm going to be on the other side, only on the first half though, because I think she's going to, get her legs under her and play well in that second half. But in that first half, I think getting a superstar back, there's going to be a little bit of adjustment period. And I just like the Atlanta Dream to come out early and often, especially with the home crowd, especially coming off a loss against Dallas where they super underperformed. So Dream first half is another official bet for me. I think it's +1.5. Okay, +1 at Bet Rivers, as you can see there on the screen.
We have two options. I was going to ask you that next since you brought it up. It's -112 at 1, -122 at a half. So you're getting a half point on a first half line for 10 cents. So typically the better line is the 1.5.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know if I would pay the extra 10 cents for that personally.
Okay.
I think it's going to be a Dream first half money line, right? So I don't need to pay the extra 10 cents. If I lose that, that's fine. I'm still very confident in the Dallas Wings bet.
I mean, the whole thing is you want to take the best number, right? So it's right on the line. But if you think about it, a half point in a game line is considered 10 cents, right? So half point getting 10 cents on a first half line, right, should be more value than that. But it also depends on the number, depends on the spot. But like you said, star player, MVP betting favorite coming back from injury. So it's weighted that way. So in theory, if you want to like nerd out a little bit, I would make the half point on a first half line like this at 16 15 cents kind of thing, not 10. So like that was why I thought it's a better number textbook. But like you said, playing 122 is never fun either, because you got to win more than one other bet to make your money back.
Yeah.
And that's why the house has the edge. Think about it as the green numbers on a roulette wheel, right? If you're betting red or betting black, they're getting the opposite color and the two green numbers. And that's the death by 1,000 paper cuts. That's where the house has their edge.
And a couple of things why I do like Atlanta here. We know how Minnesota's offense hums, especially with, the MVP in there. They shoot a ton of threes, they spread you out. But when you look at Atlanta's defense, it's not only because of Griner, but they are first in the league in terms of allowing 3 points made. They're first in the league in allowing 3 points attempted. They don't foul very often. I believe they're second or third in terms of free throws attempted, given up. So I like this Atlanta team, and I think that game against Dallas was a little weird. I personally didn't watch it, so I don't know what happened from an X's and O's standpoint. But I think going back home now and having a few days off, and now they have a few hours to mentally prepare that Fee is going to play. I think they're going to come out and really play hard defense. And I think the right play here, if you don't like Atlanta or Minnesota on the side, I actually think the under would be a play because it is Fee's first game back.
Interesting, because I believe Atlanta has gone over in every single game this year on the road, every single road game. And I mean, that's just smaller sample size, all things considered. I think they've played 8. These teams have played around 7 or 8 home games. But the Lynx are feast or famine. You mentioned it, 5 out, Celtics type. It's like the Celtics if they had a baby Jokic at center too, because I guess it's Porzingis, but like Jokic is very similar, with Fee's game, because you can't speed her up. She can play inside, outside. They run the offense through her at the high post and the low post. She does everything so well. That's why it's like a baby Jokic. But you're right. The Dream do play good D. I do think that Atlanta arena is tough for teams. You mentioned the MVP. Like, I'm not in the business of laying huge chalk, but she's only -305 as an MVP betting favorite at Bet Rivers. And just to kind of put this in perspective, Caitlin Clark is +250 as the second favorite. Now, you can make the case how badly Indiana's playing without her strengthens her candidacy. But think about voters, think about MVP, and she's widely it's a sort of a career achievement award in a lot of ways as well. Caitlin will have her turn. I can see a lot of that. And if this team continues to play well, I mean, you cash this ticket in September. So this isn't that far away. We're almost in July. -$3. It should be like $5, $6. Because after those two, it's like Brianna Stewart at 19-1. So
that's the caveat that's interesting there, because it's really a two-headed race, and it's Honestly, it's not even that because you're paying a tax
That's
for
my
Caitlin
point.
Clark right now, right? Because even though Caitlin Clark is plus 250, she's in theory, because she's going to miss a couple more games. It's a groin injury. We don't know when she's going to come back. Indiana's not playing well. You're paying for a Caitlin Clark tax that might be, closer to plus 350 or plus 400. So I think this is great value for Collier. I think um, Doug hit it right on the head. It's only a couple months away. It's not one of those where you have to wait half a year, and it's clear that the others are not really going for the MVP as well. That's the other thing. Whereas in the NBA, you can have four guys actually going for it. Whereas it feels like this season, Doug, it feels like Fee is going for it. Caitlin Clark probably heading into this season, she was a favorite because of everything she can do on the court. But with all those games missed, I just think she's out of the equation at this point. The scary part, right, is injury, but you can't handicap and project injuries at this point.
Well, I mean, that's why it's minus 305 and not 150, but you're also not laying $5, $6, right? I would never encourage that because of the injury component. And they're 12-2. They have the best record in the league right now. So if they finish top four, top five, and I just don't know who's going to get it. So the Liberty, Brianna Stewart's been okay, but she can certainly flip the switch and put up numbers. And she's well regarded. Then after that, like Mercury, all three of those are awesome, right? Well, the three studs they have. Now, Alyssa Thomas, I'll never get over how she didn't win that one year. It had 50-1 tickets across the board. But I don't think she'll get it because Sabali's been so awesome. And then the dream, like Alicia Gray is 60-1. Like she's not going to win MVP unless they go on an insane run. Seattle's not consistent enough. Like I don't know who else there is. Agumba Wale at 75-1. I mean, they're not even going to make the playoffs as of now. So I mean, Angel Reese at 75-1. If they sneak into the playoffs, they're terrible. So I just don't know who could even remotely. I mean, let's just say, and I don't want to knock on wood. Let's say Collier's going to miss like a month and a half. Like, who else could possibly get a vote?
Yeah,
Like, I
it's
don't
just
know.
Caitlin Clark. Yeah, it would just be Clark. But if the
Yeah, Sabrina,
WNBA,
maybe like career achievement, maybe Sabrina at 45. I think it's a really good bet at minus 305. That's my whole point for bringing this up.
if we're talking about professional sports and being in the entertainment business, how funny would it be if they gave MVP to Angel Reese?
Oh my gosh. If she goes off with like triple doubles and sneaks into the playoffs, and let's say Fee's hurt and like the 8 seed gets like, it wouldn't be that crazy. She's really valuable for that team. The problem is they're not going to win enough games. Like she's not going to go for triple doubles. She just had that one, which was awesome, but it's an outlier performance. Okay, three more games to get through tonight, and perfect segue to Chicago Sky, led by Angel Reese, against the Golden State Valkyries. But I want to also take this time just to remind you the newsletter's awesome. Go sign up, free, bettingweeklystudios.com. You get betting tips, previews of soccer, tennis with Wimbledon now about to get going. And just a lot of good information. Bet Rivers odds everywhere, links to these shows all under the Bet Rivers network and Betting Weekly umbrella. So a lot of good stuff. And please do subscribe and like all of our content. And UFC is in Vegas this weekend. It's a big card for UFC 317. We released the latest podcast, Betting Weekly Fight Life with Kyle Andrew and Paul Hughes. They really break it down. Both guys, Kyle, the host, really understands the stuff. And Paul breaks it down. Also, I've listened to last week's, really good insight, helps you bet. So I encourage you across the board on that as well. Before we switch gears, hold on. I went to 777 in the comments section, said Aaliyah Boston under 28.5 PRA without CC.
Yes.
I could see that, but they're at their best when Caitlin Clark's hurt. They're at their best when they run the offense through Aaliyah Boston. Now, Kelsey Mitchell can get fire, but you're right. If she's guarded by Yeru, that might be a good look. She had 23, though, yesterday, and that's including combined everything, but that's including 4 of 13. Do you have a look there in that Fever Wings game before we move on?
That last night's game for Boston was by far her best performance without Caitlin Clark. We've seen we it's not a small sample size. It's basically half the season. She struggled in every other game. She just doesn't get open looks and easy baskets because Caitlin Clark with that running the pick and roll, she gets that pocket pass that's just perfect Boston for layups or like runners, and she's not a back to the basket type player because she's a little undersized. I like this a lot. But again, I'm not going to triple dip because I think all of this is correlated or related to the wings covering. So maybe if you want to do like a parlay where it's Paige, you're going to back Paige, you're going to fade Boston, and you're going to back Dallas. I think that could be a play. But for me, I'm just going to be on the wings. But I agree with 777 because she's just not very good without Caitlin Clark.
Yeah, I mean, Caitlin Clark makes that whole team go for sure. So I like the thought process on that one. Okay, I mentioned the Sky at the Valkyries. Valkyries 7-1 ATS at home this year. They're 10-4 overall, best ATS record in the W. They are 8.5-point home favorites. $157 on the total. I'm on the Valkyries here, both first half and game. I really like them. I wrote up this play actually for the New York Post. It's just it's a great spot and a great matchup and everything. So you have the Valkyries coming off a loss where they've been on fire of late. So it's a good little reality check, wake up call, so to speak, whatever sports phrase you want to use. And then you have the Sky off a big win, but this team is not good. And I like Angel Reese as a player, but she just can't be like the go-to person and things like that. Now Ariel Atkins is playing better. Bantam's okay, things like that. They're just missing a lot. So I like the 8.5 because I think the Valkyries are they're the best coach in the league at Nakase, who I think the Aces really miss her. Wes Reynolds, who's on the show a lot, texted me that the other night when the Aces were losing. I thought it was a really astute observation. They miss her as well. And it's not just Kelsey Plum, blah, blah, blah. And I think first half and game are like really, really good bets. So first half spread, I like -4, -122, and then the game line 8.5.
Yeah, so I don't have an official play on that. I can get there with what you with the analysis that you mentioned. Golden State has an amazing home court advantage. That crowd is unbelievable. When fans when the visiting team gets there, they're caught off guard. And Chicago arguably has the worst offense in the entire league. That includes half court offense as well as in transition. How about the under? Is that a potential look for you, Doug? I know you're on Golden State always, but I feel like two struggling offenses. I know Golden State has played a lot better offensively as of late, but again, I think I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, but for Chicago to be even competitive in these games, they have to really muck it up and slow it down. And I don't know if they've done that. I don't know if they made that transition because their offense is just I can't watch it. Like it's so bad in the half court.
Yeah, no, I was making a joke a couple weeks ago about martingaling their team total unders in every quarter and just cleaning up, but I actually think they've completely turned the corner. So
Okay.
they give up a ton. Like you mentioned, their defense is horrendous and their offense is picking up a little bit. I think Van Lift still stinks and she's still slow with the ball and everything, but they don't start her. They run an offense through Angel in a lot of ways. So my last time they played, I was on her assist prop, and it got there by halftime. So she looks to facilitate the offense in a lot of ways. And now there's more juice. It's still 3.5 -134 on the over. I like it a little bit, but I think the Valkyries are such a well-coached team, but they're good at big to big passing. So that's what Reese does really well out of the high post and when she's attacking. And I've mentioned this before. She's got a lot of Mason Plumlee in her game where she can get a rebound. And if it's sort of one of those like longer rebounds, she can just lead the break herself. And again, they don't have a point guard. They're not starting Van Liff after the injury to Courtney Vandersloot. They're just keeping Ariel Atkins and then Rebecca Allen, who's really a spot up shooter. So they have some off the her at guard. So that's why their offense. But I actually think they push the pace so much and they give up so many points. I'm now reluctant to bet unders. It's almost like a Valkyries team total over. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't play the over in the game. But if I were to do anything like that, I would do Valkyries team total over because I think they're gonna wax them. I think they're gonna, but they bomb a lot of shots and they're open and they're gonna be open against the Sky defense. It's just they're not exactly household names like Burton and some of these others, but they've been picking up their shooting of threes a lot. And I think that Liberty game was a tough loss, but I think that they only lost by 3, so moral victory, if you will.
Yeah.
But Tiffany Hayes is playing a lot better. I think the Aces miss her off the bench too. Kate Martin had 10 3-point attempts. I don't think she's good, but if they're chucking, I don't know. They shot 35 threes in the last game. That's quite a bit. So I actually think they can fill it up against this Sky team.
Yeah, although they lost to the Liberty, that game actually showed me more about Golden State than
Right.
anything. That was actually very impressive because the Liberty were trying to pull away in that second half and they just couldn't. I think they got it up to like 7 or 8, and then Golden State would go on a quick two basket run. I would say that's the first time I've heard anybody comp a long rebound leading the fast break as a big to Mason Plumlee. There's so many other centers that Doug could have mentioned, but that's amazing. And I do need to watch Chicago more because if Angel Reese is playing in the high post like a Yao Ming did, back 20 years ago, I like those assist props a lot because, smart basketball players can make those easy passes, can make those really hard passes seem easy. And Angel Reese, for, however you want to think of her, she's a smart basketball player. She's very talented and she can read the defense. And so if she's playing from the high post and the offense is running through her, I would definitely look into assist props.
Yeah, I mean, she knows her limitations, right? And she's a little scared to shoot. Look, she knows about me bounds. She filed a patent for it. And I think there's just too much talk of what she can't do instead of what she can. If it's so easy to lead the league in rebounds last year and this year, then why isn't anyone else doing it? Why isn't her 6'7" teammate doing it? They're not. It's not that easy. But yeah, I've said she has about 80% Ben Wallace in her game and 20% Mason Plumlee. So she doesn't have the blocks that Wallace has. So like you take away that part of Ben Wallace, and that's who it is. And then you add the Plumlee point where she can run the break and she's agile. So she'll run high post, but not like, she's dribbling after that. And she can shoot a little bit. Yao could too. He was a great free throw shooter. By the way, sidebar, I always love the technical free throw with Yao because no one's around him. So you just have this giant at the free throw line, but he was chosen by Van Gundy to shoot those free throws because he was so good at it. I think her rebound prop is just too low. I think it should be 4.5, but the juice obviously, but if you want to do a same game parlay, but her rebounds and assists, so it's like, you're looking at 12 rebounds, which she should be able to get in this game. She busts her tail on every possession. I think they're just missing a Kelsey Mitchell, right? That's what Caitlin Clark has, right? You need a go-to scorer, and then she can play off that. But you're right, high IQ. She's obviously limited around the hoop in the post, but that's what Cardoso's for and things like that. So there's a lot of good that can generate from her. I just think that there's just no talent on that team around her, and they're very limited. 11.5 feels like a low prop for rebounds. Would you agree? I mean,
Yeah,
I feel like she gets that through 3 quarters now.
especially if they're playing faster because we know Golden State's gonna
Yeah.
take a lot of threes. So yeah, that does seem a little low to me. Maybe they're expecting a blowout.
Yeah, I am, but look, she's gone for 19 and 17 in the last 2 games, and it's not like Golden State has a big presence in the paint. Actually, they have the polar opposite. So I feel like that looks cheap. You got an alternate line. You can ladder it up for 14 plus rebounds. There's a lot to like with this one. So um I think this is a really good play. I'm going to text someone while we're talking who's a math guy who does a lot of modeling for the W, and I'm going to run it by him. But that's an interesting thing. I think that feels a lot. I think that her rebounds plus assists feels really good because I think she's going to go over assists as well. So let's turn the page. I believe we have our first 20-point spread of the season. And this one is so compelling for betting nerds. And you were on the under in the last time the Sun took the court because they're missing Marina Mabrey for several weeks. They have a pathetic offense right now. And, look, Tina Charles is a nice veteran, but when she's going against a couple of the bigs in Seattle's front line, I think she's not going to get much going. So, Connecticut went way under their team total last game. We laughed about it. You took the game under, but this is the worst team in the league, right? They're 2-13.
Oh, yeah.
They've lost 7 straight. They don't have their best offensive player. They just scored 59 in a game. What on earth is going to happen tonight?
They were 2-12 with Marina Mabrey. So, without her, they're by far the worst. They only had 6 points in that first quarter. If you look at some of the stats, it's actually laughable how bad they were in that first quarter. But they had respectable, 2, 3, 4, 2 quarters, 2, 3, and 4. 23, 17, and 13. Fourth quarters, as I mentioned, several times in the past, it's kind of like a throwaway fourth quarter in the WNBA. So, I don't know. Like it seems like under is another easy read for me. Maybe just continue to do Connecticut Sun game unders, but I'm gonna lay off from this game. The Vegas Aces, they were flirting with that spread the entire second half. I think it was at 19 and a half, and they kept going
Yeah.
up and down between the 20-point mark the entire second half, and then they had to make a couple plays there late in the fourth to actually get the cover. So I'm gonna lay off here. It feels a little fishy to me. That's why.
So, I mean, look, the Storm are so inconsistent, right? They can go beat the Lynx and then lose the Valkyries. In fact, they did that. So 20 is a monster number. Team total 67 and a half. Like this road trip is really tough. They were just in Vegas. Now they're in Seattle. And then I believe next they have like Minnesota on the
Oh
way
man,
home. It's a
yeah.
brutal stretch. So I don't know what's up with, what the morale can be like. I mean, they had they're at Minnesota on the way home. So, um, yes,
They might,
63 and a half feels
yeah, they
high.
might combine the 3 losses by like 70 points, right, against those 3 teams. That's
We were on the first half the other day with the Storm. Sorry, with the Aces. Do we do it again with the Storm tonight? Or the Sun that bad?
That's the only way I would look. There's just no way I can back that team without even with Marina Mabrey, they were struggling on offense. So without their best shooter, the only player that can get her own bucket, it's going to be hard for, for them to score. It honestly, it really depends on their opponent. If Seattle is like trying on defense, because they know they're going to beat them, right? So, but if Seattle's trying on defense and trying to suffocate them and not allow easy buckets, then yeah, they're gonna go way under their team total. But if Seattle's just there and looking ahead to their next game because they know this is pretty much a buy game, if you will. No, no offense, but yeah, it really depends on how the other team is gonna play their defense. That's why I was little disappointed on how Vegas outside of that first quarter, and that was more on Connecticut than anything, just because they were missing everything. But outside of that first quarter, I thought Vegas were gonna ramp it up, ratchet it up on defense. And to allow them to have 28 points in that second quarter was a little disappointing for me. 23 points.
Yeah, I had first half minus 10 and a half market moved. I had more at 11 and a half, and they had 11. Asia Wilson with a silly foul. But that's what happens. Like, you're right. It's all about the Storm here. Are they going to be motivated? Are they going to be take this game seriously? Are they going to play down to their opponent? So maybe keep an eye on things live betting. Nothing for us, but don't have a name. A in the comment section says team total for Suns is 68 and a half. It's actually 67 and a half at Bet Rivers. That looks too easy to cash the unders. It does until you factor in the maybe fouls and garbage time and the fact that the Storm may look past him. So no chance on this green earth I would take over. But there is a scenario where it goes over. Just I don't think it's likely, but I would probably have to play the under, if anything.
Yeah, same here.
Just real quick, cleaning up the Sky conversation. No Camila Cardoso tonight. So Angel should really eat on the rebounds. He likes the prop, but he also likes the Valkyries to pound them. So there's a lot to like with this Valkyries. I think this could be a big play for me. Good spot as well across the board. Okay, and we have one more game to get to, and it's could be a championship preview. Great game. Liberty visiting the Mercury. Phoenix laying 1.5 at home. 168 is your over/under. Phoenix just won at New York as about a 7.5, 8.5 point dog. Mercury getting back to full strength with Copper recently returning. Liberty going to be out several weeks without Jonquel Jones. Sabrina did return, and Phoebus is still out overseas. I think the Mercury is the only side. I think it's the right side.
I like Phoenix here as well. The scary part though, Doug, is although they have the rest advantage, they haven't played in a week. So the rust, the rust angle could play a factor here, especially early on in that first quarter. But I do like Phoenix. I'm hoping it's a close game at halftime, and that's where I'm gonna fire Phoenix at halftime, second half. So that's my look personally. I'm hoping it to be competitive and close in that first half, but there's too many things missing, too many players missing for New York. They're also not playing particularly well. They're winning these games, but they're not covering. I think the line here screams Phoenix.
Yeah. So do you want to make that an official play for you at all?
Again, I'm gonna wait at halftime. I'm gonna wait at
Okay.
halftime.
Okay.
Yeah, if they're down by one, if it's within plus or minus a basket at halftime, I'm gonna go Phoenix, 100%. So a contingency bet, if you will.
Okay. And I'm going to play the Angel Reese prop for rebounds. I know a lot of her assists go to Cardoso, so I'm not going to get involved in the assists. But did we say the 12.5 was her rebounds prop? So I'm going to, I'll have to play that one.
11 and a half.
11.5. Gosh, that feels so crazy.
It's
Minus
weird. That's just
122.
weird.
I'm going to add that for a regular play. So I have my best bets ready for the show. Um, I'm liking this a lot across the board in a lot of ways. So these will be a fun night in the W, at least for me. Hopefully fun. As you never know how it all plans out, but yeah, I mean, I think we have good reads on all these games. I've been I think this is a good card for us in the W. Anything as we wrap things up? NBA, we have rookie of the year odds. We have some futures. Anything jump out before we let the people go?
I would say hold off on Cooper Flag, Rookie of the Years, just because he's going into a team that's already made, right? You can make an argument of his championship caliber or not, but there's a lot of veterans on this team. It doesn't mean that he's not going to make a great impact, but he's a type of player that doesn't need numbers, right, to make an impact just because he's so great defensively. I would look at some of these other players, especially guys where teams moved up for, right? Because that's how the GMs and coaches kind of validate those draft night moves. But yeah, for me, like I would say, although he's the best player, although he's number one pick for a reason, it doesn't mean he's the runaway favorite for Rookie of the Year.
And this is one of those futures bets that you tie up till next May. So is it really worth it getting involved? And I said this the other day, I think yesterday's show with Sarah, like, okay, let's say it moves to $3 after a summer league, whatever. You missed a minus 177 bet. And let's say it cashes. Okay. You missed a minus 177 bet. I'd rather bet Paige over 9.5 rebounds and plus assists tonight at minus 130 anyway.
True.
So now it's not an either or thing, even though they both play in Dallas. I just think there's good bets on the board out there. So, all right, I would echo your sentiments across the board as well. We will discuss more NBA futures on Monday as this show, despite the NBA regular season and postseason being concluded, we will keep going. Lots to discuss as we just did 5 games in the W. Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific, right here on the Bet Rivers Network under the Betting Weekly umbrella. We also have Betting Weekly Hardball, a new baseball show that launched a couple months ago or so. So that is 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Albert and I on that show as well. So let's recap our best bets. You're going to be on Wings plus 1.5. So that's for the game. So even though the line moved, you're going to be on that one. In that game, I'm on a full unit. So I do half unit usually if I don't mention it, but I'll do a full unit on Paige over 9.5 rebounds plus assists minus 130. I think that's a really, really strong play. And then you're also on the Dream first half +1 minus 112 at home. So look in the one there. That should be a really interesting game with the Minnesota Lynx coming to town. And then with the Valkyries game, I'm going to be really involved. So I'm going to have a normal half unit on the first half for the Valks, -4, minus 122. And then I'm going to go full unit on the Valkyries -8.5 for the game. And you like them as well now. I've brought you over to the good side.
Yes, I'm going to join you on Golden State just because it's a great bounce back. They barely lost their last time out. They should have won. They covered. But I think this being at home and playing a vastly inferior team, they're going to blow them out.
Good. Yeah, I see that as well. So I'm glad I got you into that. And then I'm going to do a regular half unit play on just rebounds. I know I talked assists, but the Cardoso thing, I missed it. So I'm glad I texted someone during the show. So over for Angel Reese, over 11.5 rebounds, minus 122. I know it's going to be interesting. Maybe rebounds, maybe she's boxed out more because of Cardoso's absence. Who knows? But I think you mentioned it. It's going to be a high pace, a lot of shots in terms of long shots. She's going to be high motor, and it's going to be a great atmosphere. Like this could be with Angel Reese on a Friday night at the Golden State crowd. Like this should be a really good atmosphere for sure in this one. So good stuff across the board. Those are our best bets. We appreciate everyone tuning in again Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. Adam Osimo chiming in. Thanks for the picks, guys. We appreciate you
Always
And Adam
supporting
said
us.
he tailed my pick to the Mercury winning the championship. Yeah, that was what, 20-1 when I gave it out. It's like 13-1 at a lot of places. So I agree. I think they're really live right now. I love their coach and what they're doing with their role players around those 3 stud all-stars. Okay, that's going to do it for this show. For Albert Nguyen and everyone behind the scenes who makes everything look good, working hard throughout the week, I'm Doug Kezirian, and we'll see you back here on Monday.